It's been 10 long years since the PlayStation 3 was released in North America. 10 years. 10 years ago, games like Bully, Call of Duty 3, and New Super Mario Bros. Were barely coming out in the US. 2006 was a pretty monumental start for the era of gaming. We had just gotten off the crazy success of the PlayStation 2, and gamers were eager for the future. People were waiting for the PlayStation 3, and most importantly, Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer!
The PlayStation 3 was released on November 17, 2006, and it was Sony's first console entry into the HD market. The console at launch cost $499 for the 20GB model and $599 for the 60GB model. To put that more in perspective, the $600 value would calculate at $721 in the year 2016. That's with the current inflation rate, which is pretty freaking crazy. Much like the PS2 used the DVD player to get into people's houses, the PS3 had an advanced Blu-ray player that could play the latest form of physical video media format. It was significantly more powerful than the PS2 with its new Cell microprocessor that was powered by a 3.2 GHz PowerPC based CPU. Its GPU was based on the NVIDIA G70 architecture and was clocked at 500 MHz. All of this was accompanied by 512 MB of RAM, 256 of which were dedicated to the CPU, and the other 256 were dedicated to the GPU. This design choice would later come back to bite Sony in the butt when it came to multi-platform third-party releases. The Xbox 360 had the same amount of RAM, but it let the developer choose how they use the RAM, either on the GPU or the CPU, while the PS3 forced developers to use half of the RAM on the CPU and the other half on the GPU. This meant that games like Bayonetta would run at a solid 60 frames per second on the Xbox 360, but would sometimes run at a terrible frame rate of 20 frames per second on the PS3. This was just one of the many lessons Sony had to learn this generation. At launch, the PS3 had two models, a 20GB one and a 60GB model that could play PS2 games as well. Over time, Sony would release new slimmer models of the PS3 with new hard drive configurations up to 500GB that would ultimately get rid of the PS2 backwards compatibility. While the PS2 physical backwards compatibility was removed, new software features were added on a continuous basis that kept the system alive. The PS3 used the now famous cross-media bar as its system menu. It allowed for quick access to all of your favorite PS3 features like games, music, media, and online services. It was a clean and well-designed operating system that to this day many consider the best gaming menu system. Gamers could play games online with their friends through the PlayStation Network, and unlike the Xbox 360, users didn't have to pay a subscription to play online. You could also download digital copies of games, both retail and indie games, right down to your system. And popular media applications like Netflix brought video streaming to the homes of many people for the first time, to the point where the PS3 was the most popular Netflix device at the time. The system wasn't without its own faults though. In 2011, the PlayStation Network that powered PS3's online multiplayer was hacked, and the service was down for a solid month. 77 million accounts were compromised, and both PS3 and PSP users couldn't access the service for 23 days. It became one of the largest data security breaches in history. The outage would cost Sony the trust of many loyal customers and $171 million. Now on the upside, there's been well over 1,000 games released on the PS3, either physically, digitally, or both. Games like Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, Portal 2, and Red Dead Redemption were among the most famous third-party games to come to the system. It was also the home of many famous and critically acclaimed first-party exclusives like Little Big Planet, the Uncharted series, The Last of Us, and Journey. It's pretty astonishing to see just how well the system evolved with its games over time. The PS3 launched with games such as Call of Duty 3 and NBA 2K7, games that if you were to compare them with their modern counterparts on the same system, you'd think they were on two different consoles entirely. Honestly, some of these older games look graphically worse than modern smartphone games, which is pretty crazy to think in itself how much the tech in the PS3 evolved over the years, not just for that system, but overall technology-wise in every device. The PS3 was and still is an incredible piece of gaming technology, and it's definitely a great part of gaming history. To this day, it still holds a spot on my entertainment shelf for the days I want to play some of my favorite classic PS3 games like Catherine, Ni Nu Kuni, and many others. Let me know your favorite PS3 memories in the comment section below, or even some of the bad ones too. If you enjoyed the video, consider dropping a like and even subscribing for more content like this. Don't forget to hit that little bell icon too to join the official notification squad. And while you wait for my next video, you might want to click on one of my videos on the screen right now. I have a PS4 Pro review I just put up, and my review of Pokemon Sun and Moon that's coming out later this week. Thank you all very much for watching, hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you guys in the next one.